deserves a voice.
When he pulled out the pen, it exploded.
Her extraordinary story of survival.
I have these professionals to teach me.
At Inside Edition,
Who is it? Who could it be?
we listen,
Let's give this thing a try.
we uncover
This simple hand gesture could save your life.
real stories, real people, real impact. Every story needs a voice.
Imagine this. You're scrolling through your phone, sipping your morning coffee, thinking the world feels safe, until you see the headlines. Stories that make you question everything, from the people around you to the very society you trust. Crimes that aren't just shocking, they change the way we look at the world. Today, we're diving into some of the most disturbing cases of the last few decades. Cases that rocked communities, made headlines around the world, and revealed the darkest sides of humanity. From billionaires hiding secrets on private islands to high-profile kidnappings that shocked the nation, these are the moments where courage, terror, and tragedy collide. Wherever you're watching from New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, ask yourself, could this happen near you? And if it did, would you recognize the warning signs in time? Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. These are stories you don't want to miss, real, verified, and haunting. Case 1. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with immense wealth and influence, became infamous for his secretive life and criminal activities. His private island, Little Street James, in the U.S. Virgin Islands, was purchased in 1998 and evolved into a heavily guarded compound. Private jets and helicopters were the only access points. For years, the public only saw satellite images, but as investigations progressed, prosecutors uncovered shocking details: underground tunnels, heavily secured structures, and evidence of widespread trafficking of minors. Former employees described strict security protocols, including confiscated phones, restricted access, and rigid schedules, dictating visitor movement. The island became a symbol of hidden power, privilege, and exploitation. The Epstein case revealed the terrifying reality of how influence and secrecy can shield crime from public scrutiny, and how survivors struggled for justice for years.
Pictures not seen before that were taken on Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the Caribbean have just been released by Democrats. The 10 photos and 4 videos have been made public just weeks after President Trump signed a bill ordering the release of all the files being held on the convicted paedophile who died in prison. All the files have to be released before Christmas. Let's cross to our North America editor, Sarah Smith, who's been looking at the images. Sarah, what do they show?
Well, so as you say, there are both still photographs and video taken around the property. They were released by the U.S. Virgin Islands government to the Oversight Committee, who have now published them. And you can see the exterior of the compound and around the pool area, but also inside the house. There are images of what appear to be bedrooms, bathrooms and living areas. And remember, this is the property visited by several very well-known people associated with Jeffrey Epstein, and also the property where many of his accusers say that they were forced to perform sexual acts for Jeffrey Epstein's friends and contacts. So, if there is to be any further legal action taken over this, these pictures will probably be an important bit of evidence, and they're released now as we're waiting for all of the information that the US Justice Department holds on Jeffrey Epstein. These are what's known as the notorious Epstein files. These are the files that an act of Congress has been passed saying that they must be published by the 19th of December. So there's just over 2 weeks now until the White House has to make public the information that the government has on Jeffrey Epstein, and lawmakers are writing to the Justice Department demanding to know what's going to be released and exactly when, so they're determined to keep the pressure on to make sure nobody forgets that we're coming up to that deadline when the Epstein files have to finally be released.
Yes, and on that, Sarah, Democrats and others have been concerned, haven't they, that because of further investigations ordered by President Trump, that might mean that some of the material isn't released, or is released in such a heavily redacted way as to actually leave lots of questions. So do we have any further information on that?
Well, that's what lawmakers have written to the Justice Department just today to ask about whether there are any procedural hurdles that might stop them being able to publish the Epstein files in their entirety. Because although we know that new investigations have been ordered and we know that a fresh investigation could be a reason not to release all of the information, we haven't heard from the Justice Department whether they believe that that's the case, whether they will be hampered in releasing everything that they hold. So lawmakers are eagerly trying to find that out as we have, just over 2 weeks, something like 16 days legally before the files have to be published. And so during that time, they're keeping the pressure on to make sure that they get as much information as possible and trying to find out what they might not get and why not.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much. Sarah Smith, our North America editor.
Case 2. ATM skimming rings. From California to New York, coordinated ATM theft rings have targeted unsuspecting customers for years. These networks use skimmers, small devices attached to ATMs, to steal card data and PINs, often without anyone noticing. One documented case in California captured thieves on high-definition CCTV. One individual distracted victims while the other installed the skimmer inside the machine. Within seconds, their operation was complete, and accounts were later drained. Investigators traced the network across multiple states, active for over 2 years, exploiting ordinary people's trust in daily banking. Have you ever had your card compromised? Share your experience in the comments below.
Holiday
your story could
shopping's in
help
high
someone
gear,
stay
but there's
alert.
a danger you
Even
need to be
everyday
aware of when you hit
routines
the
like
stores.
withdrawing
Bad
cash can
guys
put
are
you at
using
risk if you're
fake
unaware.
credit card readers to rip you off. Lisa Guerrero tells you how not to be a victim.
Warning for holiday shoppers everywhere. This may look like a credit card reader, but it's fake. It's hiding the real one underneath.
They're called skimmer devices, and with just a single purchase, scammers can steal your card number and you won't even realize it.
Cops say these two guys aren't really construction workers. They're wearing disguises to look like one. Watch as the unsuspecting store clerk is lured over to help find something while his partner installs the skimmer. Across the USA, crooks are installing the illegal devices at gas pumps and ATMs, making off with more than $1 billion a year.
I was like, oh my goodness, every bit of our money's going to be drained out of the account. You know, we still have Christmas shopping to do.
Heather Carrico says in just 2 days, someone charged nearly $1,000 to her credit card after she used it at a gas station in Maryland. Cybersecurity expert Scott Schober says card skimming has skyrocketed in the last few years.
How many skimmers are there out there across the country?
There's thousands of them. Visually, we cannot just rely on our eyes anymore.
One way of detecting if you're being ripped off is to pay attention to the keypad. If it's sticky or hard to press, that could be a sign that the real keypad is underneath.
But Schober says some newer skimming devices are nearly impossible to detect, like this tiny chip that can be inserted inside a card reader. So he created this device called the Skim Scan, which is now being used by law enforcement across the country.
Just a press of a button, lights up, you stick it in. If you get a green light, you know it's clear. If it lights up red and it beeps, then you know there's a skimmer inside, don't use the pump.
He also offers this advice.
Check your statements very frequently in case you see a transaction. It's usually a small one. Then they're going to go in and charge much more. And where you can, use cash. Cash is always safer.
Another tip is to try to use gas pumps and ATMs that are in well-lit areas, because experts say those are harder for thieves to rig with those skimmers without being seen.
Where? Case 3. Elizabeth Smart. In June 2002, 4-year-old Elizabeth Smart was abducted from her bedroom in Salt Lake City, Utah. The nation watched in horror as the case unfolded. She was held captive for 9 months by Brian David Mitchell, who subjected her to abuse while moving her across multiple locations. The case shocked the public not only because of the abduction itself, but because of the courage and resilience Elizabeth demonstrated. A tip from a concerned citizen led to her rescue, bringing
the Elizabeth
national
Smart
attention to the
kidnapping in
importance of
2002
vigilance,
gripped the
community
nation
awareness,
because it violated
and
the
law
sense of
enforcement
security
coordination.
all families hold dear. The 14-year-old girl was in her own bed at night with her parents at home and the door locked in a neighborhood where such invasions were unthinkable. Her younger sister watched and listened as the kidnapper entered the room and abducted the teen at knife point. A frantic nationwide search ensued. 9 months later, she was found, but it was not until today, more than 8 years later, that justice was finally served. And Mike Von Fremd has our report.
Justice for Elizabeth Smart.
Guilty in the kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart.
They did convict Brian David Mitchell on 2 counts of kidnapping.
It's a decision 8 years in the making. A trial that's gone on for 6 weeks and a verdict that took jurors only 5 hours to decide.
It's real.
The scene at the courthouse here in Salt Lake City, Utah was solemn, as this child abduction case, which has riveted the nation, has come one step closer to an ending.
Today is a wonderful day, and I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm so thrilled with the verdict.
Elizabeth, who was sitting in the front row with her family, smiled when the verdict was read. Today on the steps of the federal court, she was overjoyed.
I hope that not only is this an example that justice can be served in America, but that it is possible to move on after something terrible has happened.
But this poised, happy 23-year-old we see today is a far cry from the shy, shrouded 14-year-old girl who was kidnapped in her bedroom at knife point and went missing from her family for a terrifying 9 months.
The prayers of the world have brought Elizabeth home.
The road to this verdict has been arduous, and for a man who so many thought was guilty, Mitchell was able to avoid a verdict for 8 long years. From the start, Mitchell's defense argued that he was legally insane. He was twice declared mentally unfit to serve trial, and during the trial, the jury had become accustomed to his bizarre behavior.
After the first day of testimony, and the jurors returned to the jury room at the end of receiving testimony, not a single word was said, and there were 4 or 5 people visibly crying.
The thinly built, gray-haired Mitchell was routinely removed from the courtroom after loudly singing hymns and Christmas carols.
He said little things, you know, God has let him down. Why would God put him through all this? He hasn't said much about it. I am concerned for him, though, about how people are going to treat him now because this came in.
A few weeks ago, he suffered a seizure in court and had to be taken out on a stretcher. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Wellner was an expert witness for the prosecution, who helped convince the jury to hand down the guilty verdict given today.
You know, when you look at this case from 10,000 feet, you say to yourself, here's a guy in robes with a long beard who sings, and he breaks into a house in the middle of the night and just grabs this girl and goes up into the mountains. Well, that sounds crazy. It's certainly something that we can't relate to. And I think that Brian David Mitchell and his defense were very successful for years in advancing that notion.
Just 5 weeks ago, Elizabeth flew back from her Mormon mission in Paris to take the stand and recount her 9 months of hell. In a composed voice, Smart told the jury about what happened in the early morning hours of June 5th, 2002. I remember him saying, I have a knife to your neck. Don't make a sound. Get out of bed and come with me, or I will kill you and your family.
When Elizabeth Smart stood in court and testified and said, you will hear me. I will be heard. No matter what this verdict is, in my professional opinion, it is heroic.
Elizabeth said she was marched 3 miles to a canyon where Mitchell and his accomplice, Wanda Barzee, made her his wife, staging an impromptu wedding. She says she cried herself to sleep that night. When she woke up, there was a cable around her ankle that was tethered to a nearby tree. She would remain there for a month and a half. He forced me off the bucket and into the bed that they had, where he proceeded to force the robes off, where he raped me. I was forced to go into the tent and watch them have sexual intercourse. There was one particular moment Elizabeth remembered fighting back. I bit him. I bit his tongue as he was trying to kiss me, and I bit him. He pulled back and said if I ever did that again, he would never have sex with me again, and I'd be the most miserable woman in the world.
It's real. It's real.
When she was found alive after going missing for almost a year, everyone called it a miracle, but worried if she would ever psychologically recover. Mitchell's accomplice, Wanda Barzee, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for her role in the kidnapping. Mitchell's sentencing is set for May 25th, where he could face life in prison. Today, while the verdict was read, he began to sing hymns.
Thank you so much. I am excited to go back to France and complete my mission.
For the Smart family, the case was the end of an ordeal. Asked to describe the family's emotions, her mother, Lois, said one word came to mind: victorious.
There was another day that she used the word victorious, and that was when she came home. And I think this is an exceptionally victorious day for us all.
For Nightline, I'm Mike Von Fremd in Salt Lake City.
Case 4. Amanda Berry. In 2003, one 6-year-old Amanda Berry disappeared on her way home from school in Cleveland, Ohio. The nation assumed she had run away until her mother received heartbreaking calls and tips that suggested otherwise. For a decade, Amanda, alongside Gina DeJesus and Michelle Knight, was held captive by Ariel Castro in a modest Cleveland neighborhood. The women endured unimaginable abuse, trapped in a house just blocks from where neighbors lived ordinary lives. In 2013, Amanda managed to escape when she saw an opportunity, banging on a neighbor's door with her daughter in her arms. Police quickly apprehended Castro, ending one of the most disturbing long-term abduction cases in U.S. history. The bravery of Amanda and her fellow survivors, and their perseverance over 10 years, made this case unforgettable. It reminds us that danger can lurk anywhere, even in seemingly quiet communities.
Says it all right there.
Could you imagine
Amanda
surviving
Berry
under these conditions
right in the
for a
middle after
decade?
missing for 10
Comment
years,
your thoughts
held
below.
captive. She was reunited with her sister last night, and that is her little girl right next to her, according to our station in Cleveland, WEWS. It was a night packed with emotion and drama. You see the people cheering right there. It all began to unfold before sundown in Cleveland.
Yeah, they were literally cheering in the streets, George. And this is a map we want you to take a look at. Amanda Berry was 16 when she disappeared in 2003. Gina DeJesus vanished in 2004 at age 14. And Michelle Knight was 21 when she went missing in 2002. And you can see they were all found so close to the locations where they were abducted. We have complete live coverage of this unfolding story, starting with ABC's David Muir on the ground in Cleveland right now. Good morning, David.
Good morning to you, Robin. And that's really the extraordinary thing, that these young women who vanished as girls were so close by, just blocks away from where they disappeared from in the first place. This morning, they're here at the hospital behind me. They are free. They have been reunited with loved ones. But so many people here in this community focused on the young woman brave enough to break free from that home, call 911 and say to that dispatcher, "I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news the last 10 years." This morning, this photo is the first image of Amanda Berry in the hospital, right there in the middle, her sister to the left, and a child to the right, who police have not identified. It's the first time Amanda has been seen since the day before her 17th birthday. And this brave call to 911 was the first time anyone would hear her voice in more than a decade.
Hello, please. Help me, I'm Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance?
I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now. I'm across the street. I'm using this phone.
Okay, stay there with those neighbors. Talk to the police when they get there.
Okay.
It was just before 6 in the evening when a neighbor, Charles Ramsey, heard screams from inside this house on his block. Inside, Amanda Berry, now 27, pounding on the door to escape.
So I'm like, what's your problem? You stuck, just open the door. And she says, I can't, he got it locked. And I look how he has it, and it's only enough to reach a hand out to grab the mail and, close the door.
They tried to pry it open. It didn't work.
So we had to kick open the bottom. Luckily on that door it was aluminum, it was cheap. And she climbed out with her daughter.
Authorities won't confirm it was Amanda's daughter, but carrying that child Amanda runs. She makes that 911 call, and you can hear the fear that that man will return.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
Moments later, she reveals something else.
That girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only ones.
Within moments, police with guns drawn kick in the door. They come out with 2 other women. ABC News has learned authorities believe they'd all been tied up, that Amanda broke free. Gina DeJesus, missing since she was 14, disappearing on her way home from middle school. And Michelle Knight, missing the longest, since 2002. All of them rushed to the hospital.
They're safe. We're in the process of evaluating their medical needs. They appear to be in fair condition at the moment.
Back on Seymour Street, police confirming to our ABC affiliate WEWS that they've arrested Ariel Castro, the man who's believed to live in that home, and the same man who Amanda Berry identified in that phone call to 911, along with his 2 brothers who are 50 and 54. The swelling crowd, many of whom remember those little girls who vanished, their faces on those weathered posters, replacing all of that sadness with cheers. Among all the cheering and the honking overnight, there was one voice, though noticeably absent in this community, and that's Amanda Berry's mother. It's known here that for years she retraced the footsteps of her daughter, trying to find her own health condition worsening. She did die, and many believe here she died of a broken heart, not knowing that 10 years after her daughter disappeared, George, that she would call 911 and say, "I'm free."
Case 5. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes terrorized Milwaukee for over a decade. Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Dahmer murdered 17 young men between 1,978 and 1,991. His crimes included dismemberment, concealment, and horrifying acts that shocked both law enforcement and the public. Dahmer's case revealed how a predator could operate unnoticed within a city, taking advantage of societal blind spots and the marginalization of certain communities. His eventual arrest came after a would-be victim escaped and alerted police, ending his reign of terror. The case forced authorities to confront systemic failures and highlighted the importance of vigilance,
Dahmer was responsible for
particularly
killing more
in
than
urban
a dozen
areas
people.
where crimes could go
the majority
unnoticed.
of those murders happened in an apartment near the Marquette campus.
So we thought it was a deep freezer, and now we found out he's got dead bodies in it.
All that remains today of that site is a grassy lot.
The fence was not here. This is all new.
We returned there with Claiborne Benson, a former TMJ4 photographer and current executive director of the Wisconsin Black Historical Society Museum. He remembers being there that morning with investigators.
But we could actually see the body parts being carried out the back door.
He'll never forget the people who showed up to the crime scene.
I began to see family members come and ask questions about who were these people and did they know of their loved ones, and they would hold pictures up. They're saying, I'm missing a brother, I'm missing a cousin.
April 7th is when he didn't return back from getting his key made.
The Dahmer case was an awakening for Milwaukee in many ways. An awakening that there were people who were missing, who were not followed up on.
Jeff Fleming works for the city of Milwaukee in the mayor's office. In 1991, he was a reporter for TMJ4.
Clearly, the case of Conarac Synthesimpone raised very serious questions about how the police treated people.
3 months before Dahmer was caught, one of his victims, Conarac Synthesimpone, escaped Dahmer's apartment. An alert neighbor called police when they saw the naked and disoriented 14-year-old boy running down the street. Police showed up, and so did Dahmer. He convinced police the boy was drunk and they were lovers. Police brought the boy back to Dahmer's apartment.
Would they have treated Conarac Synthesimpone differently had he been a blonde woman? Probably they would have.
Fleming says there was an immediate change at the police department.
Certainly it has changed the way the police department views missing persons cases, looking at situations not as quickly dismissive cases, but cases that deserve follow-up.
Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to multiple life sentences for the murder of 17 people. He was killed in prison in 1994. Reporting in Milwaukee, Rebecca Clough, TMJ4 News.
Case 6. Columbine High School. On the 20th of April 1999, 2 students at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, carried out a meticulously planned attack on their peers. 12 students and 1 teacher were killed, with more than 20 others injured. The shooting shocked the nation, leading to a reckoning over school security, mental health awareness, and the warning signs often missed in teenage behavior. Survivors' stories and first-hand accounts painted a grim picture of chaos and fear as students hid, called for help, and ran for their lives. Columbine changed the way schools, parents, and law enforcement approached threats, leaving a lasting impact on American culture and policy.
After a huge manhunt. There is no longer a threat to the community, the FBI says.
The FBI recently just confirmed that they have found Ms. Paez deceased from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Her body was recovered at Echo Lake Campground in the foothills of Mount Evans outside Denver. 18-year-old Sol Paez shot herself in the face, making it difficult to identify her. This website linked to Paez shows disturbing hand-drawn images of guns, a bloody knife, and a skull. You can see why authorities were so concerned. I feel like a pot of scalding water on the verge of boiling over, so dangerously close to spilling over, she wrote. Another website linked to Paez has this sick headline, "Be the best killer you can be." This week's 20th anniversary of the Columbine massacre seems to have tipped Paez over the edge, and it's throwing the spotlight on a bizarre subculture of young people who see Columbine killers Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris as some sort of heroes. They call themselves Columbiners. One entry on a Tumblr page shows a heart symbol. Another calls Harris cutie.
They are mythologized. There's a curiosity industry around them amongst very crazy people. It's really, really horrible and creepy.
It's heavily girls. It's becoming more and more girls.
Dave Cullen wrote the bestseller Columbine. How does an 18-year-old girl become obsessed with the Columbine tragedy?
It's kind of a weird thing that's been going on forever, of this idolization of the bad boy. And, you know, it doesn't get much more bad boy than, you know, a mass murderer.
Paez was a senior at Miami Beach High School in Florida.
She was very introverted, quiet to herself, would not talk. She's like by herself a lot. She's always dressed in dark clothing.
She flew from Florida to Denver on Monday and bought a shotgun and ammo. This Be on the Lookout Wanted poster declares she is infatuated with Columbine's school shooting. Police say she was armed and extremely dangerous and warned people do not approach her. Her father, a musician, spoke to a reporter through the door of the family home in Surfside, Florida.
It's like a bad dream. We don't have any idea. Maybe she has a mental problem.
I would like to express the family's grief for the situation. They are actually grateful that no one else is hurt.
Case 7. O.J. Simpson. The O.J. Simpson case captivated the nation in 1994 when Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were brutally murdered in Los Angeles. O.J. Simpson, a former NFL star, was charged with their deaths, sparking one of the most widely televised and debated trials in history. The case was marked by intense media coverage, controversial legal strategies, and racial and social tensions across the United States. Simpson's eventual acquittal left a divided public, raising questions about the justice system and celebrity influence. This case is remembered not only for the crime itself, but for its lasting cultural and legal implications, shaping how high-profile cases are covered and discussed today. If you're fascinated by high-profile criminal cases and legal drama,
the great football legend
hit
was
subscribe
charged
and
with
stay
murdering
tuned
his
for
former
more.
wife and a friend.
The charges carry with them allegations of special circumstances, meaning that Simpson could face the death penalty if convicted.
Los Angeles County Coroner's Office said the 2 victims died of sharp force injuries and multiple stab wounds. The bodies of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were discovered about midnight Sunday on the steps outside the condominium where Mrs. Simpson lived. The Simpsons' 2 children were found asleep inside.
Simpson did not surrender to police as had been arranged by his attorney. He took off.
We will find
Mr. Simpson, and we are going to bring him to justice.
Police in Los Angeles now believe they have spotted the car they have been looking for. As you can see, moving slowly up the freeway, they are in the far lane. At the head of that procession is a white Bronco, and inside that white Bronco, it is believed, O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson is in custody. He's been transported here to Parker Center. If you look in the back seat of the car, you will see O.J. Simpson seated between two police officers being transferred from one facility to another.
Take a look at the crime scene and follow that blood trail. When you do, you're going to follow it right into his house, into his yard, into his bathroom, into his bedroom, right into his lap. O.J. Simpson's a murderer. That's what the evidence indicates. That is what the evidence indicates. That is what the evidence shows. It shows that he's not just a murderer, but he's a double murderer.
Whether or not the gloves that Mr. Simpson was asked to slip on this evening actually fit is likely to become one of the most hotly contested issues of this trial.
O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder, a felony upon Ronald Lyle Goldman, a human being, as charged in count 2 of the information.
Case 8. Wenatchee Children. In Wenatchee, Washington, authorities uncovered the deaths of multiple children under tragic and suspicious circumstances. Court documents revealed neglect, inconsistent statements from adults in the household, and prolonged failures in child welfare oversight. Neighbors reported raised voices and unusual activity, but intervention came too late for some victims. The case highlighted severe gaps in child protection systems and sparked widespread public outrage, prompting reforms to prevent similar tragedies. What changes do you think could prevent cases like this? Comment your thoughts below.
Investigators also found the truck belonging to their father, Travis Decker, who is now on the run and wanted for murder and kidnapping. We have team coverage tonight, including Jeremy Harris talking with State Patrol about why it never issued an Amber Alert for the girls.
We start with KOMO's Lynn Wynn live in Wenatchee, where a vigil for the sisters is about to start. Lynn?
Yeah, that vigil just getting started behind me. Dozens and dozens of people gathering here to remember the sisters tonight. Those girls were visiting, spending time with their father as part of court-ordered visitation, though according to court records, their father had been homeless, was not supposed to have any overnight visits, and was also experiencing mental health issues.
The search for 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 9-year-old Peyton has ended in tragedy. Days after their father, Travis Decker, was supposed to bring them back to their mother. According to court documents, flock cameras and other resources helped authorities narrow the search down to the area of the Rock Island campground, where they found Decker's truck with 2 bloody handprints on the back. The bodies of all 3 girls were found about 75 to 100 yards away down an embankment. Investigators noted zip ties and plastic bags were scattered throughout the area, and it appeared the girls had been suffocated. Authorities blocked the area off to public access as community members learned the shocking news.
Having my own daughter, and if I cannot imagine if somebody can harm, that's shocking. I don't know what this mother is going through. It's probably that's the hell on earth.
Court documents reveal Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was supposed to get mental health treatment and anger management according to a court-ordered plan, but hadn't. All 3 victims attended Lincoln Elementary, where the community is reeling from the tragic loss. An online fundraiser has already collected nearly $200,000 for the victim's family. The organizer writing, "These girls were a true light in this world, and it is a darker place without them. I will miss seeing their sweet little faces."
And Decker remains at large. The reward for any information that leads to his capture is now up to $20,000. Authorities also say that Decker is former military and has a lot of training and should be considered dangerous. We are continuing to stay out here and following as the community honors these three sisters, and we'll continue to bring you updates on air and online from here in Wenatchee. Reporting live in Wenatchee tonight, Lynn Ann Wynn, KOMO News.
Lynn Ann, thank you. So with the tragic end of the search for the three girls, many are now asking why there was no Amber Alert issued. Today, KOMO's Jeremy Harris took that question to the Washington State Patrol, which is assisting in the investigation. He joins us live now at State Patrol headquarters in Olympia. Jeremy.
Steve, the State Patrol oversees the state's alert systems, and they were involved in this case very early on when the girls went missing. But there are strict requirements for Amber Alerts, and the State Patrol says this case simply did not meet them. Within 24 hours of the disappearance of three young sisters in Wenatchee, the Washington State Patrol issued this endangered missing person alert with their names, photos, and calling their father, Travis Decker, a suspect. It included a picture of his pickup truck, but there was no Amber Alert.
In short, it didn't meet the federal requirements for an Amber Alert.
Chris Loftus with the Washington State Patrol says investigators looked into the possibility of an Amber Alert.
But we were having discussions with them from Friday night on. We weren't eligible for the Amber. Then what could we use? And the Amber was the best we could do. The difference between...
Investigators say Travis Decker had permission to take the girls for visitation.
Just because a parent with custodial privileges is late bringing a child back does not mean there's been an abduction.
With the girls all now dead and an active manhunt for Travis Decker, Loftus says the investigators had to act with the information they had at the time.
And it's important that we maintain the...
And stick with KOMO for continuing coverage on this developing story. As we follow the search for Travis Decker and any other developments, we'll have the latest here on TV, online at KOMOnews.com, as well as our social media pages.
Case 9. Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione, a local resident, disappeared under mysterious circumstances, leaving his family and community desperate for answers. Investigations revealed GPS anomalies, conflicting witness statements, and previously undisclosed evidence that complicated the search. Though not as widely publicized as some cases, the disappearance remains a chilling example of how quickly someone can vanish without explanation and how investigative roadblocks can prolong uncertainty and grief for families. The unresolved nature of this case serves as a reminder that danger and the unknown can affect anyone,
the moment that police moved in on alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione, asking him to pull down his mask. And you'll see it. Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Kotursky.
Tonight, exactly 1 year after his arrest, we're seeing for the first time the stunning body camera footage showing the moment police confront accused killer Luigi Mangione. Officers pulling up to an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's after the manager called 911 about a customer who resembled the suspect wanted for the murder of a CEO in New York City. The officer first walks by to have a look at the man seated with his breakfast in the back corner, then doubles back to approach.
Yes, sir. There you go. Put your mask down real quick for me? Yeah, sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Officer Joseph Detweiler later testified, at that moment, I knew it was him immediately. The officer asking the young man's name.
What's your name? Mark. What is it? Mark. Mark? Yes, sir. Mark what? Rosario. Rosario? Someone called tonight. They thought you were suspicious. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there your ID on you? Yes, sir. Thanks.
Mangione allegedly hands over a fake New Jersey ID for a Mark Rosario.
I thought she looked like someone,
The officer then hands the ID to his partner to check the name and license number.
26, 27, 29 out of New Jersey.
The body camera footage played at a hearing to decide what evidence will or won't be used against Mangione at trial. Today, the judge heard from an officer who escorted Mangione to and from court a year ago when he erupted.
Completely out of touch and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people. It's living fear.
The officer described how Mangione looked at the crowd and said, all these people here for a mass murderer. Wild. He added, I was walking a little too fast for him and he stumbled. I apologized and said I forgot he was shackled. He said, it's okay. I'll have to get used to it. Police said they pulled this handwritten note from Mangione's backpack, mapping out what prosecutors called his possible escape routes, like Pittsburgh and nearby cities. On the flip side, a reminder to change hat, shoes, and pluck eyebrows. The McDonald's manager told 911 that's how customers recognized him.
The only thing you can see is his eyebrows.
That body camera footage released, David, after Mangione's arrest 1 year ago today. Now he's been seated here at court watching himself get questioned, searched, and handcuffed as his attorneys fight to keep key evidence seized from him that day thrown out. And this evidence suppression hearing is going to continue well into next week, David.
And you'll be following it for us, Aaron. Thanks. Now to the
Case 10. Elizabeth Smart. We circle back to Elizabeth Smart to emphasize the human resilience highlighted throughout these stories. Her survival, courage, and advocacy following her abduction underscore a recurring theme across all cases. Even in the darkest moments, individuals can act with courage, communities can intervene, and justice, though delayed, is possible. Which of these cases affected you the most? Share your thoughts, below your voice matters. If these stories captivated you, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay tuned for more verified true crime stories from around the world. These cases span decades, cities, and communities, but they share a common thread: the unpredictability of danger, the courage of survivors, and the lasting impact of crime on society. From high-profile cases like Epstein and Dahmer to local tragedies and long-term abductions, each story reminds us that vigilance, awareness, and empathy are essential in a world where darkness can hide behind ordinary faces. By understanding these cases, we honor victims, learn from past mistakes, and prepare to protect ourselves and our communities.